I'm going to introduce to everybody Tamika. Tamika is the one who has put in for this contract with the USDA for the group and everything. And so I know that there was quite a few questions about what to put in for the distribution. Am I too late? Everything else. The answer is no, you're not too late. We always got time and everything else. But before I get to rambling too much, let me turn it over to Tamika and let her do her thing.
So, hey, you guys, I know we've had many discussions on this. Please excuse my background. There's a lot going on here today. So over the last couple of weeks, we've all talked about how we're going to respond and support the call out for food and distribution partners to communities in need with respect to USDA's agricultural marketing services. Agricultural marketing services traditionally buys commodities from farmers, and they distribute those commodities throughout the nation, mostly predominantly to your food banks. And then, of course, they have other types of programs where they distribute internationally. So one of the things that our teammates did is said, hey, we believe we can respond to this call for farmers, their product, and connect with the right food banks to get this product out. And we can also look to find other distribution partners to help us with that. So over the last few weeks, we've kind of just recorded and talked about how we're going to approach this request from USDA. Now, I will say that the team, we've already submitted our response to the contract. And it's not like a traditional grant, where a grant, as we know, is typically done over several years. They handle that grant by, your milestones and what work performance you're going to do. This was very specific to fruits and vegetables, of course, produce. I said fruits and vegetables. So produce, beef and pork and chicken and dairy products. So I guess I'm just standing by to understand what type of questions our teammates may have. But to walk you back before we get there, we finalize our submittal. The requirement was for those who are interested to respond by a specific time. Okay, that specific time was May 1st. And they plan on releasing the announcement with respect to who was awarded these contracts by May 8th. So what we needed to do to respond to that was identify, where we're going to have these areas of service. And what we did internally as a team is look at our current life partners. So we currently do work with the USDA throughout pretty much all 50 states, but predominantly 7-8 states where our partners are doing workshops and outreach. So we looked at that as our hubs. And then as we announced this information, there were several of the people who typically join the Legacy Farming Health Group call and say, hey, yeah, we would like to help. I'm in Florida. I would like to help. I'm in Georgia. So it just became imperative for us to identify where those individuals were at, but still respond in a timely manner. So what that required us to do was identify what the prices were going to be for each commodity box, and then what commodity boxes we were going to focus on. Obviously, when you're talking about dairy and eggs and pork, which they were calling for cooked pork and cooked chicken, we were not in a position, we felt like, to respond to that piece. But the fruits and produce, fresh fruits and produce, we felt like we were. So I will pause there and say we've already submitted our response. We are awaiting the announcement from USDA, which should happen tomorrow, on who has been awarded that. We also looked across potential partners that are national level distributors of commodity products, because in the work that we're doing in the regions that we're focusing on, we did realize that, it would help us to have partners who not only do this, but also have potentially in-kind production and mass distribution that can support what the larger team was trying to do. And so in doing that, we looked across at the organization called Perfect Pack. They do distribution for farms across the nation, and they're definitely looking to support with boxes and larger items of commodities, upwards of 100,000 pounds a month. Perfect Pack does this already nationwide, but they certainly are looking to, as this contract is released, to partner with the right organizations and essentially just support the communities in need. This contract we anticipate to start May May 15th, right? They're going to announce May 8th, and they're anticipating their partners will be up and ready to distribute by the 15th of May, and it'll go through the end of this year. And this is in direct response to COVID-19. So I'll pause there and just, I guess, stand by for questions. I understand that several of our team members have a few questions, so I'm here to answer. And I know we have a few new partners. Andrew, thank you for joining. Happy to answer any other questions you all may have.
Okay. You can either raise your hand, do a wave, or you can just go ahead and start speaking. Anybody have a question?
What was the prices of the boxes again? I didn't hear it.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. The prices per box is $52 a box. And I'll have to look at the exact. I know there's some cents on that. How did we come up with that? We're looking at an average 20-pound box and a travel mile radius from, at least from our current distribution teammates, was anywhere from 70 to 100. John, you remind me. I know you came up with our worksheet. And then
yeah. I thought I put in for like a 200-mile round trip radius.
Right. So 200-mile round trip radius, 52 and some change per box, and so that was the per box price. I hope that helps. And I know we have some partners on here who might have had some questions about are there potential other support relationships that can get food and larger quantities of food into the areas of service. And Andrew, again, I want to thank you for joining from Oakland and Tribe. To answer your question, yes, we do. We're happy to connect you with our relationship with Perfect Pack, or figure out, what's the poundage or what's the need, and figure out how that support relationship could work. At the end of the day, we're responding because we felt like we definitely had the capability to do this. And even if we don't, we know that there are communities in need out there where, the work is already being done, and perhaps they just need to level up or connect with other partners who have products that they could use for their communities. So, Andrew, did you have any specific questions for us? It sounds like you all are already serving your community with food and food boxes, and you're potentially looking to source more food. So happy to answer any questions there.
Yeah, I'm really jumping on I'm jumping on a bunch of different calls and seeing, so forgive me for not really being up on exactly what the deal is, within this particular partnership and efforts. We're giving out about 20,000 pounds, 200 different families. We're into week 8 of it, and it's all for free. We're doing basic needs like diapers, wipes, cooking oil, sanitizer, et cetera, et cetera. We're getting free sanitizer from UC Berkeley. We're getting free diapers from Help a Mother Out. We're getting about 18,000 pounds of produce and dry goods from the Alameda County Food Bank. And then we have this distribution networks, which are really made up of teachers, library aides, community school managers, and then neighbors who are going out. So it's like a free operation. We have applied for some grants to not pay some regular staff, as well as pay for some product. And we're doing about maybe $1,000 to $2,000 a week, but we get so much stuff from the food bank. There was a period of about 10 days where the food bank was running low. And that's where people were saying about this new USDA contract, about this shipping company in California that would pick up all the unused restaurant vegetables and bring them to, but again, all this stuff has to be, certain people have to be paid for, the distributors and such. So I think my main thing that I'm looking for is just something either free or super affordable, any type of product that we can be able to get out to folks who, you know, I would say about 60% of our people have lost income or their job one way or another. And I would say about 30 to 40% are not paying rent and are just, you know, kind of flying by the seat of their pants right now.
Absolutely. No, I think that's 98% of the United States right now, sir. And I appreciate that. So with respect to the food, again, we're focusing on when an award is announced, right? However, it sounds like you all have a food bank partner by which you're getting food from. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I would assume, though, you might have needs that potentially the food banks aren't fulfilling, or you have a desire to, if there is something that we can create and saying, hey, we know that 10,000 boxes, right, needs to go to Andrew and Oakland and Tribe organization, right? And here's the type of boxes that we believe we can get to you, right? Is that something you guys can define? And are you, because for us, given the letting of this contract, we have to have proof of receipt from an organization, right? We have 10,000 boxes, we're getting them to Oakland Tribe, and Oakland Tribe says, yes, I've received these boxes, this level of commodities, right? That's something we would certainly like to help you out with, on top of, you know, maybe even just identifying the food bank that you currently use in order to say, hey, this is the food bank that, you know, we know if we service, you know, Andrew and his team are going to get, you know, continue to get what they need from a food perspective.
Yep.
So let me
Definitely. We definitely don't want to. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wanting
Sorry,
to say something just so you can have a little clarity. When she was saying what the price was for the box, that's not what we're charging. That's what we are getting from the government to produce this box and to be able to distribute to people. So, for example, if you order, you know, like you said, 1,000 boxes, and you know, it's broke down in different ways. You know, getting the product to you. If you guys take it, if you guys were to put it together and everything else, how much you could charge per person, per box, and you guys could get paid for it. So that's part of how we got it set up, is that what we're charging, that each distribution spot can get paid, that the farmers get paid for their food and everything else. And that, so this isn't something that's just coming to us. This is something to help to sustain our communities and everything else. Even those who are giving out, we're putting in for them to be able to get paid a stipend to be able to produce these boxes. So we're not charging for these, not to the people. We're charging that to the government, and they're going to pay. That's why we need to have receipts and everything, so we can we can tell where the money's going. I think Deb had
Great point, John. Thank you for clarifying that, John. Please go ahead, Deb.
Yes, this $52 box, what does it contain, and how is the price determined?
Okay, I did that for the most part. We estimated that it would contain roughly 15 to 20 pounds worth of produce, and it varied on whatever the produce would be. We calculated in, like I said, I believe it was a 200-mile trip to get from the farmer to wherever the distribution spot is. It could be more than one distribution spot. And then, you know, because you can get it, pick it up from the farmer. Then if you're taking it to a place to where they are going to put all the boxes together, and then you got to ship it out to different other spots to distribute it. You know, we calculated that in. Like I said, we calculated in what we thought it would cost having you know, some people in there to help to put the boxes together, to help hand them out. and everything else. So we did it on that level. Like I said, our thing is to do that. And then I think we added in a dollar or two a box just for the administrative part, because it's going to take a lot of people on the back end to be able to make sure that all the receipts are in, to be able to send everything out, because we got to get our receipts from the farmers. We got to know what they got, how much they brought in, where it went to, and everything else. So that's going to be a lot of work on the back end also. So we got, you know what our motto is. I don't work for free, and I don't expect you to either. And so that's part of what we're doing. We're trying to make sure that everybody is compensated. It's not about us trying to get rich. It's about us trying to support and help each other.
And I see that there's another question in here. I heard that there were 6 states that were awarded this grant. This is from Miss Joyce Moore. Great question, Miss Moore. So as I mentioned, this is a contract, not a grant from what I understand. I don't know who's been awarded the contracts. It was a fair and open competition. Typically, when institutions issue contracts, they can kind of segregate and say, hey, we want, mostly small disadvantaged businesses, but they said, hey, we're opening this up. We realize that there's communities in need right now, and there's people, and we have organizations and people in each one of these communities who can stand to be somebody who's putting together these produce boxes and fruit boxes or whatever combination of that box and getting it to organizations who are essentially distributing these products. So they kind of opened up the model.
You went kind of deaf on us, Tamika. Your headset went out. Still can't hear you.
That better? Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. It's my janky headset. I apologize. But anyhow, so this was not a grant. I want to clarify. This was not a grant. It was a contract for support, and it was for support of distribution of commodities and products. And they have not announced the awarding of this contract. I believe it will be announced on the 8th. They said May 8th they intend to announce the awards, and they want to start moving forward with distribution starting May 15th. And this contract will end December 31st, 2020. So this, and then I also see what is the epicenter, where was a 200-mile radius, how did you guys come up with these distances? Again, we have People's Foundation and the Life Project has 7-8 main members in states that said, hey, we believe we can support this. Let's use our model based off of each one of our member hubs. We had a lot of people say, yes, they wanted to support, but there were several requirements I needed from each one of those individuals in order to respond effectively to this contract. For anyone who understands government contracting, you essentially have to answer everything they're asking for, right? Where are you distributing from? Where are you distributing to? So the contract was fairly in depth, right? They even went so far as to create a 6-tab spreadsheet over 150 rows, identifying all of the nonprofits and all of the food banks that have said, we need food, right? We need product. Tell your farmers if they got it, get it to us, right? So this contract USDA put together, you had to kind of dissect and identify what nonprofit and food bank you were going to deliver to. So we calculated our mileage based on those who were in our internal organization and team who said that they will support, and here's the nonprofits we anticipate distributing the product to, right? Because it's 3 parts. You have a distributor, you have a receiver, and you have a farmer, right? So that was one of the hubs is, of course, here People's Foundation in California. We're on the central coast of California. There's one food bank that services 5 different counties. And so we had to create a schedule. We had to talk about what we're going to be delivering, and then identify that mile radius between our hub and that food bank. So how we calculated it was on average between each one of our hub members and the food banks they identified they would be able to deliver to. Darrell, right? I think, our teammate in Virginia identified 2 food banks he could support, and the products that he can be able to put in that box, and then calculated it from there. So it was each one of our members hubs in Florida, Virginia, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, California, and there was one
Florida.
more. Did I say Florida? I'm sorry.
I don't know. Yeah.
Our hub based on each one of our members who said yes, and the identified nonprofits that they plan to support and deliver the product to, and then we put it on an average 20-pound box. And John, I don't have my spreadsheet up here, but if you do, you can pull it up and show them how we calculate the box and the distance.
Yeah, I don't have it on me right now.
Sure.
But I'll say this: one, we're trying to support the local grower and local farmer. So we're not trying to ship from Mississippi all the way up to Chicago. We want local farmers, and there might be an opportunity to where we can get that. We got connections with as Tamika said, some of these individual groups that does shipping to these food banks and stuff across the nation, that they said that we can be able to help and tap into some of their stuff also. So, I mean, if there's stuff that we need that we don't have, I'm sure that we can work something out that way. But the main concept is to utilize and to develop local food sources in each community that we're working in, and then those that we develop as we go on, and get them to support one another. And so with that in mind, like I said, I know California is a huge difference. You probably drive 200 miles in any direction and still be in California. But still, with that being said, there should be some local growers that are in those areas that can support that. The issue is also that hold on, let me that we are as farmers, they're all going to have issues right now. Their normal way of selling at farmers markets and everything else is going to be disrupted. As Andrew's pointed out, and a lot of us probably know, that we're probably easily at 50-60% of people who are on food stamps and some sort of welfare. For those of you who are staying at home and you're getting paid to be at home, that is part of a government welfare system that we're on that is allowing us to do that. If we're getting stuff from the food bank, that may not be actual food stamps, but that is part of the food stamp program. And that's what we have to understand, is that quite a few of us are on these things that, we may not want to, hold our head up and say, yes, I'm on this, but in actuality, we are. And so with that being said, people aren't going to be so apt to, go run over to a farmer's market and pay high dollar for that. Two, the farmers markets themselves are now going to have to go through the same stringent protocol that these food banks are going through, to where you can't have stuff out. People can't just come up and look at and examine and touch like they used to. You gotta, here in Indiana, they've already sent us a thing that basically we want you to set it up to where people call you and order your stuff, and they just drive up and you drop it in their trunk. So, a lot of things is changing. So for the farmer, that's not going to be advantageous for him. With the schools and stuff that are closing down, they've already got contracts that they're trying to utilize for these contracts to be able to get their food out. But if these things are disrupted like they are now, it's not going, you know, they're going to have too much food on their hands. So for them, they rather be able to get something for the government. They're going to give them subsidies for it anyway. So if the government can just go ahead and pay for it and give the food away, that's a win-win for the government. And so, like I said, this year is going to be a very disruptive year, as we already know. And so a lot of the practices that we've been accustomed to are going to be changed. And by the government putting things already out to December, I would be hard pressed to say that I think that this is going to end quickly. I think that it's going to be around for a moment. So we're trying to put out the best practices we can. We're trying to make it so that our people can get into the ballpark. We're trying to set it up to where communities can come together. They can start their own community gardens. They can grow their own food and be able to get supplemented in those areas to produce their food and be able to utilize that also. So we're trying to get those opportunities for everybody. So that's what we're trying to do. So I don't know if we got any more questions because I haven't looked at them. I know Tamika's been looking at them. And I think that kind of covers that. I don't know if there's any other questions. Hold on for a sec. I got one of the main persons who was calling me, just who's been asking me questions, just called me. So I want to make sure that he knows that we're on the call. Yeah. So go ahead, Tamika. I'm gonna give it back to you.
We can't hear you, Tamika. We can't hear you, Tamika.
She forgot already.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Technology has gotten the better of me, but I'm back. I apologize about that. Thank you again, John, for clarifying on kind of that price point. Yes, this is more of a commodity box to the areas of need. And, once we identify what we were able to provide, that is then invoiced to the USDA. We pay the farmer, pay the distributor. So basic contract, subcontract relationship. So thank you for asking. Thank you for clarifying. Please, if you have any more questions, I'm sorry that I don't have the slide press. I know I don't want to kill people to death with PowerPoint presentations. We've talked about this with the teammates, and I'm just here to answer any questions anyone has. And we're definitely looking to collaborate. Given where some of our partners are at, it would be nice to see how we can support and do things, across the nation in support of each other's efforts. So I'll yield the floor. Any questions, hit me up with them. I'll answer, or John will help me answer, and we'll definitely get those for you all.
Everybody don't be quiet now. Ronette, I know you got a question. What you got over there?
Nothing yet. Everything seems to be clarified.
All
We're
right.
good. We start May 15th, you said, right? If we get approved.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Right. So again, I believe we position ourselves well to be approved, and we'll know if we'll know tomorrow, right? And if not, I would say this, I still encourage us to think about these models irregardless of an award, right? Because the reason why we all collectively come together is to seize and look at these opportunities, right? Or even understand how we can go about, even as individual teammates and individual farms, on these grants and opportunities in our region, which we know USDA highly supports, right? So even if we don't get this contract, we're still, right, the Life Project and our teammates are still doing this work, because communities are still going to be in need. We'll still have farmers out here with product who need to get the product to someone, whether they're buying it online or what have you. So we intend to bring trainings and opportunities to this group all the time, and either apply as a group or encourage our teammates to apply, because I think our farmers need it. I know we have great teammates and great minds out there who are doing great work. So I'm never down either way, right? If we don't get it, we're still going to be doing this work. We're still going to be looking at chances to continue to do this work.
And let me say this also, you know, there's some of the other companies that have gone out there to put in for this have already said to us that if there's a way that they can partner with us afterwards, that they're willing to. So the thing is that the food is going to be needed regardless. So whether it comes through us or it goes through another source, you know, if another company, if they get awarded the contract, they're still going to be looking for growers and stuff. So that opportunity is still there. I can't guarantee what their numbers are, but you know, you should be able to get something for that. So.
So John, would that be like would that be a subcontract type situation then? If you're working with somebody who's been awarded?
Yeah, because that's what we're going to do. We're doing it as a subcontract with all the growers and farmers and stuff that we have in our network. That's how we're going to basically do that and go from there.
And then the other thing I wanted to know, are there grant opportunities that would still allow us to do this business model, but utilizing a grant? Is that something that you looked at as a future contingency as well?
Yes, I have. And yes, there are. As a matter of fact, there is it's called a FMPP, a farmers market, something. But if you go to USDA or grants.gov, that's what it is. If you go to grants.gov and you just put those letters in there, FMPP, it'll come up with that grant is due at the end of this month, and it tells you can put that model in and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Give me the money, and I can do it. So those opportunities are there also. So that's part of what's out there.
Can I add too that there's on USDA Agricultural Marketing Services. You guys, USDA does this often. They've been buying commodities for hundreds, well over 100 years. But they did recently release a grant opportunity for urban agricultural vitalization. I can't remember the title here, but I'll try to find the link and share it out to the group, either post or during our call. So to answer your question, yes, there are grants. Yes, there are even grants that AMS had looked to put out to answer what they know is clearly a problem, right? We've all talked about, I think, the urban and rural agricultural economy, as well as the fact that we have food deserts in these pockets, right? So everybody is kind of releasing different types of grants to respond to this need. And so now would be the time. I would highly recommend for those of you who are, organizations, farms, and groups who are looking to kind of seize these opportunities. AMS has plenty of those that are being released as well. Grants.gov, USDA is another one. But perhaps maybe we can, maybe another call, have the discussion on the different types of opportunities. But yes, I definitely saw an urban agriculture grant released by the AMS division of USDA that I think might be helpful.
Yeah, I saw that today also. I just haven't had time to read it.
Me either. So busy. I think we are doing great things, and I know there's great team members with amazing organizations and maybe amazing farm work that they're already doing. So this, just understanding some of the things that might be out there would be nice.
Yeah. Darrell, so you got your hand raised there.
Okay, yeah. So, question. So here I've, if awarded, I've talked and spoke with the the food banks, and they are like ecstatic that, you know, I know I'm not the only one in this race here, but they were like, really, you know, and they're really excited. So I'm running into some resistance, not really resistance, but it's more so where to find this food box. In my mind, am I hearing that someone provides us with this particular box to put our goods in? You know, and I don't know which way to go with that. I'm open to any advice if you have it. But so far, we're locked and loaded if we're awarded. Thank you.
Great question on the boxes. So, you know, as mentioned, you know, we do have a relationship with a fairly large distribution company that, of course, does this, and they have identified that they're willing to support with boxes as needed. And I told them we have partners across the nation in different states, and you know, obviously they operate across the nation in different states themselves. So, yes, there are. The goal would be to, once, you know, awarded, that we, you know, work with that partner to identify the number of boxes each one of our teammates is going to need, right? And I don't know if there's even areas in your community that might serve as a way to put together a box, but yes, we do have a partner who's willing to provide boxes as needed. That's to answer your question. Yes, sir.
Joyce, you got anything? All right. Go ahead. You got to come off mute. I can't hear you. I can see your hand and your lips moving, but I felt lip reading.
Yeah. What if you can't get things in the ground until really late?
Good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think John kind of touched on that. That is is my understanding this is going to go until the end of the year. I don't know how much time will be required for you to put in ground and then harvest, but I think the contract's going to be good to the end of this year. So I believe you still would have time. When do you anticipate in ground and harvest?
I'm not sure. This is my first time doing it like this, so.
Well, let me speak to that.
Stumble bumming through it.
Okay. Let me speak to that a little bit. One, you know, we will get our produce from whatever other sources that we need to at this point in time to be able to fill our orders. And then as the people that we utilize and stuff come in and are able to provide certain produce and stuff for those boxes, that's when you have that opportunity as a farmer to be able to come in and give your produce and stuff, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
So it still gives everybody that opportunity. Go ahead, Deborah. You're on mute, I think, or did I mute you? I don't know. I muted a few people.
The link I wanted to post into the chat is not working because my text is it's probably like 2 points high. It's ridiculous. So I don't know what's wrong. So I'm going to send it out in email.
Okay. And then we'll have Quinn to forward that to everybody.
Yeah.
Is that good for you, Quinn?
Yes, it is. And I was going to also say that if Deb wanted to just shout it out, then I could have written it down and maybe put it in the chat. But I'll do both, if you know, or however, whatever's convenient. You can send it over to me, Deb, and I'll send it to everyone here that's on the call. Another thing, while we're here on that subject, I did note that. Thank you, Mr. Parks, for putting your contact information in the chat. And also, if anyone else wanted to leave their contact information, email, so that we can continue to contact you with our monthly meetings, please do so. If you feel that we don't already have your email address, please put it in.
Okay, Deb, I'll give you.
Yeah, it's MidwesternCannabisConference.com, all spelled out like normal.
Midwestern.
CannabisConference.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Look like we got somebody from the 317. Is that Elder Kamal?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We got Tamika on. I know you guys had some questions earlier today. I didn't know if you had any more that may have popped up, but you have a great opportunity now to ask any questions that you want, and she can answer.
Is that reference to me, Brother
Yeah.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, greetings to everybody. I'm eating at my granddaughter's birthday party and back-to-back calls, so y'all know how it goes. But it's all good, and I appreciate y'all moving forward. There was some need to clarify with the Claiborne County, Mississippi, which is where one of the distribution hubs is located. The distinction about invoicing and receipts. So we worked out that whole clarity this morning to present to the Claiborne County attorneys for approval, and also develop the various forms that we would use at each level of the distribution, all the way down to the families and boxes for the families. This is the food box initiative. And so feel very comfortable about it. It's worked out. It's ready to go. Really a boilerplate that can be transferred to any other community where we've got, that kind of clout going on, to be able to have people come together and say, let's do it. So that's, I guess, the only thing that I wanted to report. No questions at this point. We're all clear. So ready to go and get some boxes of food to the folks who need it most.
All right. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I see we got Matt that came on. Matt, how's it going?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
How y'all doing?
Are we doing all right?
The glare is the window. Look, I'm gonna go to another room where the glare isn't so bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Brother Easley. He's from Indianapolis also. Keisha, I see you getting ready to, you done unmuted, so that means you got something to say. Let's hear what you got to say.
Oh,
so it just,
can you still hear me?
Yeah, hold on, Matt. Go ahead, Keisha.
I said I just got it out, so it just let in. I don't know what happened. I'm listening.
Okay, you're just listening. Okay, all right. Matt?
Give me a second.
Okay. All right, he's still working on it. All right. Who else have we not heard from? Shanice.
Is that better?
Yeah, it is. I just got through talking to your buddy today, Frank Jones.
How's Frank doing?
He said he's doing all right. He said he talked to you a couple of weeks ago. So anyhow,
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. All right, he's disappearing on us again.
I put the link in there for the conference because the other one didn't work when I tried it.
Okay.
But I put the link in the chat.
Thank you.
I'm an idiot.
What's that?
It's Midwest, not Midwestern, but Midwest Cannabis Conference.
Yeah, it's in there. If you click on it, I put it in there.
Great, thank you.
What did I miss? Anything?
You missed a whole bunch, so you're gonna have to watch the video afterwards. So you missed everything. You came in right on the end. It came in just in time.
I've been up my greenhouse.
You got a lot of food ready?
Hey, some of us got to work for a living.
What? Tell me about it. Tell me
I
about
know
it.
that's right.
So, but yeah, we were just talking about the food box distribution thing that we're putting together, and just letting everybody know that we'll know tomorrow, hopefully, whether or not we got the contract or not, and we'll be able to move forward from there. So, definitely be looking to get some good produce from your farm.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get out here and try to have y'all some.
All right. Don't put too much in right now. You know, you're supposed to get a frost and snow and stuff in the next couple of days.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's kind of like that's kind of like messed up, and it
is.
Can't make up his mind.
Matthew, I'll catch you up.
So.
All right.
Let me jump up to Andrew. Andrew, you got any questions? No, you good?
No, just excited. We'll be praying for, this collective that you guys get that contract. I believe you guys said May 15th. But other than that, it's a real pleasure. And I'm thankful to have, LinkedIn. And hopefully, we can be able to be a distributor, receiver of some of this stuff.
Great.
All right. Wonderful.
And that's,
I think somebody's question was about who will be distributing or packing the boxes. That was in the chat.
Let me see. Okay, so are the distribution partners are similar to those like yourself, right? In communities where they've identified somewhere to actually get the product to, and farmers to get product from, even those who we can offset in that supply. So individuals can, in this instance, be distribution partners. We just need to identify where they're getting the product to and what they need, where they're getting the product from. So essentially, anyone can be a distribution partner.
Right. So,
what kind of equipment does it take to do that?
Couple hands and some boxes.
Yes. Boxes.
I mean, I have a truck, but I didn't know if it needed to be covered or refrigerated.
Well, it depends on the setup. So, with that being said, what they're trying to have this to be is a what they call it, from truck to trunk type situation, to where they want it to basically come off of the truck into people's trunk. So they're not looking for this to be the regular farmers markets where you're just out there under tents and stuff like that. It can be, you can take it from the truck and put them on pallets and sit them all up underneath the tent, and you just pull from there. They're not looking for this to be a long, drawn out thing. They want people to be able to pull up, drop the trunk, drop it in, and they pull off. And it's basically the concept that they've given to us. So whether you have a building that you're pulling out of and you're shipping it down, with that, I would suggest you have some type of roller system or something like that you can roll them out on and get it there. But basically, they just want you to be there and unload it. Basically, like I said, if the distribution center has the facility to have it at, that is beneficial. We have to understand that with produce and stuff, you can't just let it sit out all day. So there's certain protocols that they have with that, as they would a farmer's market and stuff like that. So like I said, you might have a building that you have it in, and where you can pull it out on a pallet jack and set it out there, and that you get rid of the next 50 or 100 boxes, you move that one out and pull another one out. But like I said, it should be a pretty in and out quick process is what they're looking for.
And can I add that similar to how I mentioned how the response was very, very technical in that they were really looking for how to identify the receiver, right? Who's going to receive these things. And like, for instance, I'll just highlight, right? Andrew's organization, right? They distribute product. That's all they do, right? So your goal as someone who's putting together, let's say 100 of the boxes a day, right? I'm just taking a number. Let's say you have 20 farmers you work with, all the product they give you, you can put it in about 100 boxes a day. You really want to get it to somebody who's then distributing it at mass to people and organizations almost immediately, right? So most of the things that they required that we highlighted was who was that recipient. And most of those recipients, listed in this spreadsheet were food banks, right? Because right now they're kind of predominantly the ones that are open, and I saw some community partners in there, where there's some churches and faith-based organizations. But you really do, as you look to say, like, let's say you are sitting in this amazing hub of you're centered around 50 farmers who have product, right? You do then want to look at, well, who's distributing food in my community? Is there a faith-based organization? Is there a food bank which has freezer systems and delivery times, and they're open, they have a clear schedule when they receive product? That's kind of the sweet spot, right? So now you're just working at, I know who I'm going to get it to, and I know I have some clear farmers who I want to work with and have product that I definitely can package up, right? So the key is who's the recipient and where are you getting your product from? So that's kind of a nice thing to remember when we think about this distribution model. And again, like I said, they don't anticipate this is going to go for much longer. They're hoping to the end of the year that, we're having some let up of this. But the idea is find where you're going to be getting these products to. And most of the time, we're talking about food banks and nonprofits who are already doing this distribution work in your community.
John?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's good framing. Just to add to that, and it may vary based on the geographic reality of where you're working. So at least in the Mississippi example, it's rural. And so the church network is also being engaged and is signing on to be a part of the distribution to the households, their parishioners, and providing them that database of who's the recipient that would feed into, I think, what Sister was talking about. So just another resource to consider.
Thank you, sir. Well put. Agreed. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, there's no other question. Let me make sure that I don't have anything over here. Everybody's good. All right. Well, with that being said, hey, we're right at the hour mark. So we did a good job. I want to thank you guys. Appreciate you guys coming on. I will make a copy of this and make sure I get it to Quinn so that he can send this out to everybody. And you get an opportunity to check it out and see what, listen again or share with them what's being said. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys coming on, and stay safe.
All right. Stay safe.
I love everyone.
All right, y'all. Yes.